Satellite navigation, the saviour of the modern driver. It knows exactly which way to go. But how will it fare against its arch rival, the London cabbie? Welcome to Click. I'm Spencer Kelly. Well, it's a bitterly cold but beautiful morning, and somewhere over in that direction, the London rush hour is about to get underway. And today, we're going to use that London crush to put some in-car technology to the test. Satellite navigation does exactly what its name suggests. Taking readings from satellites orbiting the Earth, these boxes can tell exactly where you are on the planet, and then they can give you directions to wherever you want to go. And the latest models also come with another useful feature. They can avoid traffic jams. But how will they compare to the most fearsome of all navigators, the London cabbie? We'll find out as my satnav and I go up against a black cab. We'll also give you a complete rundown of everything you need to know before you buy a satnav. So, the test begins. Now I'm going to be using this sat-nav with built-in traffic avoidance to hopefully get me around the London jams. And we're going to be pitching this against our own cabbie, Andrew. Taxi! Hi mate.
Hello there.
How you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Bit cold, I'm sure. Sorry about that. How do you fancy your chances then? Your cabbie radar brain against this?
Well, it's anyone's guess. It's south of the river at the moment, so...
I was expecting you to be more confident than that, but there you go. Right, let's have the cliche golden envelope then, please. Here are our route details. Would you hold the sat-nav? Okay. Try not to throw it away. I know it's in your interest. Time to have a look at the route. Oh, it's even on headed paper. No expense spent. Dear drivers, below is a list of locations. You each have to visit them in the same order. Andy the cabbie. That's me. That's you. You can choose whichever route you want at any time, but so you don't get any unfair advantage, you're not allowed to use taxi lanes to avoid the jams.
Right, no problem.
Behave. We've got a crew in the car.
Okay.
Just to check. Spencer, you must do exactly what your satellite navigation says. No exceptions. You are just the dumb driver. The box has the brains. No breaking the speed limits, no breaking the law, and no breaking the cars. Good luck, drivers. Your time starts now. To the Batmobile.
Let's go.
See, we really wanted to test how good the sat-nav was at getting up-to-date traffic information and then recalculating the route to avoid the jams. For that reason, the waypoints have been chosen to take us through extremely busy parts of London. In fact, if we just followed the shortest route to our first waypoint, the brand new Wembley Stadium, we go right through some of the worst traffic black spots in the area. Right, well I have to say I'm fairly confident because this sat-nav has all the mod cons, including voice recognition, which means I can just speak the address and it'll find it. So here we go. London. The latest sat-navs will find a number of different types of locations for you, including specific addresses, town centres, road junctions and points of interest. Wembley Stadium. Okay, it's calculating the route now. It's got a complete encyclopedic knowledge of all the roads in Europe actually, and so it's now finding the fastest route there. Done. Andy the cabbie also comes fully loaded with a near encyclopedic knowledge of London roads, so famous amongst black cab drivers it's just called the knowledge. But in his organic brain he also has an extra compartment marked common sense.
It took me 3 years to get my green badge, and I'm pretty confident with my knowledge we'll be able to out-nav the sat-nav.
Sat-nav doesn't have a brilliant reputation. There have been many cases where drivers have been routed down tricky country lanes. They may be shorter routes, but they're also narrower. Not handy if you're driving a truck. In fact, recently, we've even started to see signs appearing advising you to ignore your sat-nav, lest you end up wedged in a hedge. And it wasn't long before our journey took its first unexpected turn. We're on a country road going to London. I was expected to be on the motorway by now. Anyone else? The reason the sat-navs love country lanes so much is because the speed limits are normally 60 miles an hour, not far off the speed limits for motorways and main trunk roads. But because it's pretty difficult to get up to that speed on this kind of windy road without ending up upside down in a field, the sat-nav turns out to be too optimistic about your journey time. It's a problem the sat-nav people say they're working on.
In terms of the real speed limits on our road, we've got so many people now driving with GPS-enabled devices that we can track their behaviour or their speed over time. And if we can take that and transfer it to the map, it allows the navigation devices basically to make a more intelligent decision on which road to go on, because a short road may not be the best road.
Let's hope they get lots of traffic and sit on the M4 for about 40 minutes.
Meanwhile, I was in a queue in a local town centre, stuck behind someone who was still getting up. Now this box here is getting traffic information in two ways. First of all, it's talking through Bluetooth to my mobile phone and using the data service to contact TomTom HQ, and then they download all the traffic information they know about. But also, and this is reasonably new, these sat-navs now have an FM aerial. It's a bit of wire that you stretch around the windscreen, and it's picking up traffic information that's broadcast on radio stations' frequencies. Gathering traffic information for every road in the area is an expensive business. You need sensors of some kind along every road to monitor the speed of the traffic along that stretch. Now, chances are you've seen these around. They're number plate readers. They measure how long it takes for the same car to go past subsequent cameras, and therefore the average speed of the traffic along that stretch of road. And these infrared sensors, mounted every few miles on motorway bridges, work out average speeds by counting the cars as they go past. In the UK, the motorways and trunk roads are fully covered with sensors, but when there's a traffic jam, the surrounding minor roads can also snarl up.
The current fixed network is very, very good at delivering traffic information for the roads we cover. There are limitations when we take vehicles away from those routes where there are delays onto more suburban streets where we don't have traffic information. In the future, hopefully we'll be able to use more floating vehicle data, provide information on those minor routes and B routes, and give more information to the customer.
Floating vehicle data is the alternative to covering the country with fixed cameras. Instead, you put the traffic sensors inside the vehicles. The hope is that more and more sat-nav systems will be sold together with this box, which comes with a SIM card so it can report its speed and position over the mobile phone network. If enough cars come fitted with the system, the traffic monitoring agencies will have more data from vehicles on suburban roads, and they'll be able to plot a much more accurate traffic avoidance map. I am squeezing a 4x4 between parked cars, a church wall, and another 4x4. Meanwhile, I reckon Andrew is now on the M25. But I was wrong. Andy had chosen to avoid the motorway, and now he was paying the price.
I think we'll swing it round and hit the 3 lanes of the M25. We'll head off back down to junction 9 of the M25.
As Andy decided belatedly to chance the motorway, I was already on it, and the traffic avoidance came to life. 27 miles ahead, it said, there was a 42-minute delay. Well, the sat-nav didn't like that, so it looked for a quicker alternative route and found one.
Take the exit, then keep right.
We left the M25 early, taking the M4 and then the smaller roads into London, where the instructions got a bit more complicated.
Bear right, beaver left, then bear left, bear right, beaver left.
Hang on.
Then bear left.
What? And if you recognise the voice, it's because it's comedy legend John Cleese. He's one of several famous voices you can pay to download from the SatNav's website. You can also download free voices elsewhere, although these tend to be impressions. John, however, is the real deal.
Hello, this is John Cleese, and you'll want to know if this is really John Cleese, so I'm going to ask my mother if it's me. Mother, is this me? Oh, yes!
As both cars got within a few miles, things started to get desperate. You can see that we are in a jam, and you can also see that on the screen, it doesn't know we're in a jam.
We're actually doing a bit of a naughty here. We're cutting through a petrol station.
What shall I do? Shall I cut across?
Yeah.
Let me in. I'm in a 4x4. I'll only run you down.
Sorry.
And then the most fantastic vision. Our first waypoint lurched into sight. An hour and 12 minutes after setting off, the satnav had got us there ahead of the cab. Our proof was photographed and MMS'd to the enemy.
They're 5 minutes in front of us. We better get our skates on.
Having packed the orchestra back into the boot, I used my enormous hand to punch in waypoint 2, the Houses of Parliament. This time, we'd be directed there by Yoda.
Left, you must turn. Then, left, you must turn.
I hope the force is with us. Here we go. And back to the challenge in a few moments. First, a look at this week's tech news. Ask.com is marking itself out from other search engines by offering anonymity. A new Ask Eraser mode, enabled from the homepage, deletes any search queries stored on the company's servers. It also clears any information that could identify you for that session. It follows concerns raised over privacy, with some rivals like Google hanging on to this sort of information for up to 18 months. 2 weeks after Sony launched its next-gen screen displays, Toshiba has put its plans to sell the screens on hold. Excitement's been building over organic LED screens, which deliver much higher contrast levels whilst consuming less power than LCD or plasma. But Toshiba fears that the ultra-thin OLED panels will cost too much to produce and may not be commercially viable. And we all know the problem of spam in our inboxes, but now is getting silly, according to spam filtering firm Barracuda. Real-time data from its 50,000 customers shows its service is now sending more than 90% of emails straight to the junk folder. That compares to just 5% back in 2001. The GPS challenge was in full flow, and it was 1-0 to satnav. But the rest of the journey would take us into the maze of London streets, and there, the cabbie was on home turf. You can see here we've got a bridge going over the top of us, we've got skyscrapers all around us, and one of the problems in big cities is that the sky is actually obscured, and that means that your sat-nav can't see the satellites properly. So you could find that your GPS reception gets patchy in big cities, and that means that it can't keep up with where you're going, it can't give you timely instructions, and basically you could look like a fool going round a roundabout about 4 times. It's them! It's them in front! Look, they're there! They're there! They're in the cab in front! They've just overtaken us! No! I'm sure he undertook me. There they are.
Actually, I've just thought of a great little left, and I think this will save us 5 minutes. Actually, this is a great one because he's gonna be stuck there for 10 minutes.
No! Where's he going? I can't go that way. Of course, I'm in a 4x4, so really, I should be able to just drive over everyone. We were stuck with the route the sat-nav chose, and although Andy was also hitting traffic down the side streets, he could pick his way through the jam down empty roads. Is that what I think it is?
Oh yes.
Go on, tell me it's not.
It is a beautiful.
No! It was 1-1.
There is absolutely no way on God's earth, if you are in Park Lane coming south, going to Westminster, would you go anywhere near Piccadilly, Piccadilly Circus, Piccadilly Underpass, Piccadilly anything, Park Lane, Constitution, round the Palace, you're here. You go Piccadilly, you're going the wrong way. Simple.
And Andy had begun his journey to the finish line, the Greenwich Observatory. 0 degrees longitude, right on the Greenwich Meridian. It's where time began, or something like that. So, what should you be looking for in a sat-nav? We chose to use a top-of-the-range model from TomTom, one of the world's leading brands. Others are, of course, available. So here's Mark Chislak with a rundown of the features you need to look out for.
Lots of modern cars already come fitted with GPS devices built into the dash, or available as an optional extra. Problem is, these units tend to vary wildly in accuracy and ease of use from car manufacturer to car manufacturer. But if your car doesn't come fitted with a GPS device already, don't despair. There are tons of portable GPS units available. Little portables like these usually come with a map of the country that they've been purchased in preloaded on them. For further maps of different countries around the world, just visit the manufacturer's website and you'll be able to download them, then install them onto an SD card or via Bluetooth or USB onto the GPS's internal storage.
In 250 yards, turn left.
All of these sorts of devices come with a speech option, which handily tells the driver when to turn and which roads or exits to take. Newer portable devices will also say the name of a road, as opposed to just saying turn left or turn right, making driving in an unfamiliar town much easier.
Bear left, 215 Denmark Hill.
Handily, these little GPS units often come with these joints or suckers or attachments which let you stick them onto the windscreen or onto the dash of your car, and it's important to think about power. Now, these kinds of devices will almost always have a rechargeable battery in them, but they just don't have the juice to handle long car journeys. In fact, after about 2 hours, you'll find that the battery's flat. So it's important to either make sure that it comes with or buy yourself a cigarette charger if you fancy going on that epic road trip. Increasingly, GPS-enabled phones and PDAs have started to appear. GPS in your pocket in a device you're probably going to be carrying with you anyway is really handy. There are inevitable compromises though with GPS fitted into mobile phones. Here I've got a dedicated portable GPS device. As such, all it has to do is act as a navigational aid. A mobile phone, on the other hand, will have a plethora of features, not least making telephone calls. As a result, the GPS functionality is often slower and less accurate than that found in dedicated devices. It's also worth mentioning that GPS in portable devices is still really designed for use with a car. So for instance, if I was to plot a route to this park, chances are it would plot the route via the roads and possibly around the park. Kind of handy if you're in a car, not so useful if you're a pedestrian and on foot. Another smartphone option is these little Bluetooth GPS dongles. If your handset doesn't have GPS functionality, these little fellas will provide it. Just enable the phone's Bluetooth connectivity features and this box will act as a wireless GPS receiver for the handset. So that's some of the GPS options available, but what sorts of additional features should you be looking for in your navigational device? POI, or points of interest, can be really handy. This will highlight useful or interesting sites, and not just things like landmarks. Petrol stations and cash points and speed cameras will also pop up. And some devices which support Bluetooth pairing can receive traffic updates this way, make hands-free calls, and read text messages aloud.
Back in the car, tensions are running high and spirits are low. Look, no traffic. It says no traffic. I say traffic.
Says the man.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, you're talking about me now?
Oh, for God's sake,
right.
You see what I have to put up with? Not only am I driving, but also camera is arguing with producer about who's the most travel sick.
Not arguing, we're discussing.
Haven't you got filming to do or something? It's like I'm driving a zoo. By the time we passed Westminster, even our satnav, now in the style of Ozzy Osbourne, had had enough.
After 200 yards, cross the roundabout, second exit.
They're probably 20-25 minutes behind us. So it's, hopefully, if we don't get any traffic, we'll be there in 5 minutes.
This is not a roundabout. It thinks it's a roundabout, but it's a crossroads with traffic lights now. So if I want, and I could really be bothered, I could program in a correction, and then the next time I connect this to the internet, it'll upload my correction to TomTom's HQ. And once they've verified it, they'll download it to all the other TomToms. The irritating thing is I actually really don't consider this to be busy traffic. It's just stop go. It's just London. This thing says it's up to date with all the traffic information, and we're still not able to beat the cabbie because he can just spot an empty road and go down it. This thing can't. It's going to keep us on the main roads unless it hears about bad traffic.
And in the end, the cabbie brain won out.
Nice try, Spen.
It was a good half an hour before we even entered Greenwich, by which point Andy had cracked open the celebration hamper. Frustrated that I wasn't allowed to go off route, I decided to simulate the off-road experience.
Bump. Second bump. Bump.
And finally, 27 minutes too late, Ozzy announced our arrival in his own inimitable style.
You have reached your destination.
No comment. And you can stop that. Big gormless wave like a gormless taxi driver. Hi, how are you? You right?
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, bet you are.
Where you been?
I tell you, we've done a complete tour of all the busiest parts of London. Trafalgar Square, Piccadilly Circus. Oh, look at him, look at him. Oh, you don't want to go that way.
While satnav devices successfully get many people to their destinations, it's clear that traffic avoidance still has quite a way to go. We asked TomTom to comment on their device's performance against the cabbie. They declined.
So there you have it. London. Don't go there. Well, not without a cabbie anyway. It just goes to show that man still can't live by satellite alone. Even with traffic avoidance, it doesn't seem to be able to replace a good bit of cabbie radar, the knowledge. Anyway, there's more details of our journey on our website. The link to click is bbc.co.uk/click. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
You have reached your destination. You may get out now, but I am not going to help you carry your bags. From now on, you're on your own.